Out of Africa is a fantastic movie based on an incredible true story about a Danish woman who moves to what is now Kenya in the early part of the 20th century. And the movie, Meryl Streep, Robert Redford, just wonderful hats, wonderful scenery, fantastic music. Don't miss the movie. But embedded in it is a really interesting medical story. Meryl Streep is in Africa and she goes to visit her husband at his camp. Well, little does she know that he's been off messing around and he has acquired syphilis, which he then gives to her. And in the movie, it's a little bit dramatized, but she becomes acutely ill with acute syphilis. And in fact, acute syphilis can produce a syndrome that it's a little, I think they jazzed it up a little bit in the movie.
Well, these cases vary. He may have just a touch. You're very ill.
What was known about syphilis at that time was that it was a disaster for you. You had about a 50-50 chance of going insane. Ultimately, you waited long enough, it gets into your brain, and it produces a syndrome that causes you to lose it, to develop a dementia. And she visits with a local medic who says, really, you've got a problem. And that's the bad news. The good news is, just a few years before that, 1907, Paul Ehrlich and his team have discovered something really interesting. They discover a compound that they call salvarsan. And salvarsan was the first true silver bullet antimicrobial.
But they have a thing called salvarsan.
Arsenic.
At an appropriate dose, salvarsan could kill the organisms of syphilis in your body and not kill you. But it wasn't arsenic-based compound. It was really, really, really toxic. It was not an easy therapy. But relative to the options of doing nothing and having a high chance of developing a lot of problems down the road, in 1915, this was viewed as a tremendous step up. The opportunity to get this treatment then plays out of the movie because the doc says, you got to go home. That's the place you're going to have to go and get treated. And she does. And it goes back for several months. And as you follow her course back home, it's clear that it's tough.
I fought my own war. Arsenic was my ally against an enemy I never saw.
But she does get cured. And in the book, in the movie, she goes back and I'm not going to spoil the rest of the novel for you, but basically she does get cured of her syphilis. And so it was really interesting to reflect on what it meant at that time to have this novel therapy that for the first time you could do something about it. But it also tells you something about antimicrobials. I sometimes joke that it's really easy to kill bacteria. Steam, fire, bleach, they all work just great. The trick is to find something that kills just the bacteria and doesn't do anything to you. And salvarsan was right at the edge of that. It could do you in. It hurt to get it infused. It was a tough therapy. But if done carefully and with a little bit of luck, I suppose, you could be cured. When penicillin got invented, penicillin had very few toxicities, and it did the same thing that salvarsan did. So we'd had salvarsan that was curing people, and now we've got penicillin, which really seems to be pretty well tolerated. And you can use it to cure people? Wow. That's what blew people away about antibiotics in the first part of the 20th century. All of a sudden, things that were routinely death sentences or horrible lifetime concerns about going crazy from syphilis, you could do something about it. Exciting times. So, Out of Africa, enjoy the movie. Robert Redford, Meryl Streep, gotta say it, great film. Watch for the medical story embedded in the middle.